The Kuril Islands, a sovereignty dispute between Japan and Russia. The site. The Kuril Islands are located in an active volcanic seismic zone, extending between the Japanese island of Hokkaido in the north and the Russian Kamchatka Peninsula. They are 50 islands and about 1,300 kilometers long, and their combined area is about 15,600 square kilometers, and it is located under Russia's rule in Sakhalin province. And Japan claims the 4 southernmost islands, and considers them part of its territory under the Shimoda Treaty that it signed with Tsarist Russia. The population. When the Dutch discovered the Kuril Islands in 1643, they were inhabited by a people called the Ainu, the indigenous people of Japan, and they are still on the island of Hokkaido, although their presence has declined on various other Japanese islands, and the population of the islands is 30,000 people, according to 2015 estimates. The history. The influence of the Russian Empire extended to the islands in the 18th century, and in 1786 the first Japanese arrived on Itarup Island and found some of its native people speaking the Russian language. And in 1798, the Japanese removed the Russian signs and erected columns to prove that these islands belonged to Greater Japan. And Russian fur traders established a station on the islands in 1795, and by 1830 had declared control of the northern and central islands. And in 1855, Russia withdrew from the islands because it was involved in the Crimean War, signed the Shimoda Agreement, and abandoned the southern islands to Japan. And in 1875, the Petersburg Agreement was concluded, under which Russia ceded all of the Kuril Islands in exchange for Japan's recognition of Russian ownership of Sakhalin Island. During World War II, the Soviet Union was able to convince its allies, the United States and Britain, to agree to regain its lands that were occupied by Japan. And following the Yalta Conference in 1945, the Soviet Union began the war against Japan, stationed its forces in the Kuril Islands and took control of them, and its population, estimated at about 17,000 people, was deported to Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, and it was annexed to the Soviet Union in 1946. And the South Kuril Islands, namely Kunashir, Shikotan, Itarup, and Habamai, constitute the main obstacle preventing the signing of a peace treaty between Japan and Russia. And Japan insists on annexing these islands to Japanese sovereignty as they are Japanese lands occupied by Russia during World War II, while Russia confirms that the Kuril Islands are Russian lands.